Welcome to our first edition of Radical Education Tuesday, liberating minds through transformative education. Now, why is it important to think radically in regards to education? Well, the world needs big thinkers. There's big problems, so we need big thinkers. We need educators and parents and guardians to encourage students to think about their own position in the world, their privilege, their disadvantages, and how we can propel the world in a positive direction. Now, it may sound simple, but if you work in education, if you know anything about education, you know it's messy, it's complicated, it's hard, it's tough, it's no walk in the park. But we also understand that we cannot settle. We cannot settle for what we have. We cannot settle for what could be, what would be. No. Change must come now. Change must come now, like right now, like yesterday, like the day before. Like student lives are depending upon you to make things better. Like they're depending on you to give them access to tools, to knowledge, to help them survive, to help them think critically, to help them be independent, to help them live when they step outside your classroom, to deal with issues that you may not have to deal with, but because of who they are, see, let me talk to y'all. We have to remember that our students come from different places, backgrounds, religions, ways of seeing, ways of thinking. In our world, in our world is needing folks to think critically, to think independently, to be able to analyze, to create, come up with solutions. See, it's not enough to simply give information and expect students to regurgitate it out in the form of a test or a paper. See, no. We need students to be able to become leaders of today and tomorrow. See, y'all not listening to me. Radical Tuesday is about decolonizing, seeing new ways of thinking, of creating new ways of problem solving. See, we have to step back and analyze the situation a little bit more. This is not about simply delivering a curriculum. No, this is about lives. This is about students knowing that when they go home at 3 o'clock, at 2 o'clock, at 4 o'clock, that they have the tools needed to deal with whatever's at home, right? I've had students tell me, Miss Anderson, I go home and there's gun violence in my community. There's excessive amount of police officers that stroll down our block. We don't have food at home, Miss Anderson. Or Miss Anderson, I'm afraid of my neighborhood. Or Miss Anderson, we don't have clean clothes. Or Miss Anderson, see, y'all not listening. A radical form of education is helping students to think about their position in the world. Is it a privilege? Is it a lack of privilege that creates? Is it a lack of privilege that creates the reality? Y'all don't understand what I mean. Let me break this down. Let me break it down for you. We have to understand the identity markers of students: sexual orientation, race, socioeconomic class, religion. All of these things, all these markers of our identity, right, help shape our realities and our insight on life, right? As a Black working class woman, my reality may be different from yours, right? The things I see, the things I experience will be different because of who I am, right? And this is what we're working through. as a radical educator, you must be cognizant of this reality that students are coming from places that may be different from you, but you know what? That's okay. Because the part about education is learning, and knowing that as a teacher, you are also a student, and that you can learn from your students in front of you. See, you not listening. Y'all not listening to me. This is a matter of life. This is a matter of creating solutions to problems that have been going on for decades. Being radical means thinking differently, outside the box, maybe even going against the norm, not being mainstream, right? And that's okay. That's completely okay if you're teaching your students how to think, how to problem solve, how to create, how to make something, how to solve a problem, how to work with a person that is not like themselves, because you know what, the world around us is changing, and I don't know if you know it or not, but we need people that are willing to step up, to create, to analyze, to critique the system in place, because we are the parts of that system, and if we're not effective parts, then the system cannot work. So what am I trying to say? What am I saying is this: disrupt the system. Be that agent that causes an interruption. Make your students feel like, okay, you know what? I can be that tool. I can not be a tool, but I can be that agent in solving a problem in my community or within my household or somewhere. I can plant a seed somewhere, right? Somewhere I can plant a seed and see it grow. I can see the world become a better place. This is what we're talking about. This is radical. We're not just going to school to just simply read and write and then forget it when we go home. No. We understand that the outside world of our students matter. And they always have mattered. And it is important that we understand that the world that our students come from is just as important as the school that they place their books, their backpacks, and their bodies, right? So we have to be radical in understanding that our perspective on life, on education, has to shift dramatically, or else we're going to lose a lot of potential leaders and problem solvers and creators. Because this is what we need, right? Education needs to be transformative. We're trying to create. We're trying to nourish or nurture students to become all that they can become, right? But we have to be radical. We have to be able to listen to them, to see their needs, to understand them, to really immerse ourselves in their culture. You're not understanding me. This is not about me. This is not about you. It's about us. It's about the world around us and how we can make this world a better place for us to exist, no matter our background, no matter our race, sexual orientation, form of dress, religion, language. All that matters. And understanding when I say, please do not say you're culturally blind or you don't see color. No, that's the problem. And being radical means you understand that all of these things matter, because all these things create the lives that we live, right? Understand this. Understand this real carefully. Being critical, being radical means that you're looking at power dynamics. You're looking at your relation in the world to other people. What is your power? Do you hold power? If you do, how can you transfer? How can you distribute that power? What can you do with your power to empower someone that may not have what you have? That's what a radical educator would do, right? Because we're looking at ourselves, and we're trying to see our position, and we're trying to get students to see their position, and we're trying to get them to see how systems work, how power dynamics are important in seeing how things end up going, right? Be radical. Be critical. Have your students question and reflect every single day. Have them read everything. Have them sit down and talk to you about who they are, their lives. Because believe me, it makes a difference. You're not just there to teach and go home and that's it. You're not just there to give them a work, an assignment, and it doesn't matter. No, remember this. I was a student. You were a student. Honestly, we're all still students. But remember that there's someone in your class that is really depending on you. Maybe it's 10 students, 20, 30 students, 40, 50 students. I don't know. But plant the seed to allow your students to know that they can be leaders of today. Now, we're not trying to wait for tomorrow. We're talking about leaders for right now, for today. That they can go out there within their homes, their communities, their world, and make a difference. They can create. They can break down something. They can bring something to the table. Give them those tools to survive, to live, to be motivated to do something that will make this world a better place. Be critical and be radical. Thank you for joining us on our first edition of Radical Tuesday. Next week, we'll have more insight, more tips, more strategies on how to make your educational practices a little bit more radical in order to liberate. Liberation does not come easy, but it's definitely worth it.